And hello, welcome to another video for the ham world by N2QOJ. And this is an interesting presentation. What I want to do is show how easy it is to really look at a couple of different locations using a readily accessible app and look at the topography. Look at to see what's between those 2 points in elevation, blockage, topography issues, topographic issues, maybe some man-made issues. This came up from speaking with KI7PPW John this evening. Yesterday we had Radio Under Sunshade event all through the valley, and John was set up not too far away from K7ZAE, Heidi. The distance was not very great at all, but they had trouble communicating. And so that really leaves only one thing, especially when they each had no trouble with other stations. That only leaves one thing. Something's in the path. So I thought maybe might be worthwhile to look at an easy way to determine that and see where the culprit is, where the issue may have been. So let's look. Commercial is over there. Let's look at starting up our app, which is going to be Google Earth. I'm using Google Earth Pro, but you can use regular Google Earth as well. The Pro is free these days, so no problem using it. I've used it for many different things, including the Trek, and I also tie this into APRS, and I can have APRS in near real time dump to my Google Earth and display APRS beacons and so forth across Google Earth. So the first thing we want to do is set a couple of points on the map. One of them is going to be for KI7PPW John, and I know he was at Power Road and Guadalupe. That should be good enough. In Mesa. So let's take a look there. Google Earth will zoom in that general area. And we know he was at Monterey Park, which is really close to that area. So let's take a look here. We'll expand it a little bit. There's Monterey Park. Okay. So we're going to assume that that John was operating from a pavilion or ramada. So we're going to put a point here. The easiest way to do that, of course, is grab this push pin up here. Let's place it there. Let's give it an aim. And we're done with that point. Now you'll see here in my list of different places and other things I've done in the past, KI7PPW popped up. Great. Now let's go make another point. By the way, if you've never played with Google Earth, just to give you an idea here, yes, it's 2 dimensions, but look what we can do. We can see some relative or virtual 3D renderings as well. And that'll come in handy in a few minutes here. But right now we need our second point, which is Granite Reef Park. And let's spell it right. And that's in Mesa. Now you see I've searched for it. I'm going to move to it, and it's not that very far away. Okay, there's Granite Reef Park. We're going to zoom in a little bit. And here we see a Ramada area. So let's put our second point there. Grab a push pin. Just leave it there. And let's call that K7ZAE for Heidi. Okay, now Let's zoom out so we give you an idea of some scale and where they're located here. So here we go. It's just a little slow because this is a very old computer doing a lot of things, recording the screen and my audio. If you look down here at the layers in the left margin here, you'll see the different things that Google Pro can render. And I've got it rendering borders and labels, buildings and roads, and terrain. Okay, I can shut off the terrain. You'll see a little bit different view. But we're going to leave the terrain on so it gives us an idea as well. So we're going to zoom in. And now you could see that John is just near Power in Guadalupe, south of 60. Not very far south of 60. And you can see that Heidi was at Granite Reef Park, right near Brown Road. So their distance in terms of VHF, UHF simplex is quite close proximity. So we're probably certain that's not going to be an issue there. It's not distance or anything like that. So next order of business, rather than do just a visual, we're going to just do an altitude path type of thing. So we're going to, this little symbol up here is for a route. I can add a path. And the way I'm going to add a path is pretty simple. You can freehand draw it, but I'm going to let the computer draw me a very nice straight line. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to select that push pin. And then I'm going to select this push pin. Actually, I might want to do that over. Hold on a second. So we're going to go right there. And right at the push pin details. Okay, let's name it. Let's make a prop path. Now we have a straight line of sight between two locations. Let's zoom in just one more. 2 more, 3 more, 4 more. Okay. Now, interesting. We're starting to see some interesting things here, right? We see some commercial stuff in between, and that may be a culprit. But first things first, let's look at the easy thing. Here's something easy. Go to Prop Path, which was also created. Right-click. Let's look at an elevation profile. Now, the bottom of the screen is going to show the elevation profile between those 2 points. Okay? If you take your cursor and move it along that line, it's going to correspond with the path, the visual path up here. So here at the top, we're at Heidi's location, which is obviously about 120 feet higher elevation. If you look here at the left, it's 1457 feet. And as you go down, we see no topographical obstruction, mountains or peaks or anything like that. A little bit of a dip here, just south of the 60. That probably is the recessed portion of US 60 right there. Never noticed that before, but that's recessed above the other terrain. If we continue down to the location here, we're at 1,342 feet, okay, versus 1457. So you do the math, that's not very much difference, 120 something feet, and no obstructions in the way, okay. If there was any obstruction from the ground, it would be higher than both of these points in order to affect it, or I should say, it would be in between, and Heidi's point would be lower than that feature of the terrain. In any case, that's not our problem. Doesn't seem to be a problem. All right, so now we're going to go, let's take the path out, the elevation profile out, and let's go look at the path a little closer. Let's start here, and we can see, follow this line, and you can see we're going right through 60 Power Road and between Superstition Springs Mall, and just residential area, no problems there. Uh-oh, There is our culprit. At 100 and something feet between the two locations, we've got this Banner Hospital and the parking garage right in the way. And with that elevation difference, I think we found our culprit. Well, it's reasonable. Of course, doing some checks would probably be good. Now, John mentioned he was only a couple of degrees off from her location, which is accurate, probably 4 or 5 degrees. But this certainly seems like a reasonable conclusion on our part that this man-made structure could have been causing the issue between K7ZAE in Granite Reef Park and KI7PPW at Monterey Park. And there you have it. Pretty straightforward. And there's a lot more features of Google Earth, where you can actually fly along that path, and you can set the height, the altitude, the speed of flying along that path. Just another way to demonstrate to someone. We've used that feature during Trek and others to find alternate routes and so forth. But there you have it. That's an easy way to, one, check an elevation profile to determine if there's a physical feature that may have been causing the interference or the blockage of signal, or just use a visual analysis and zoom into that path, and you can see right there this very tall structure could well be the reason why John and Heidi had a little bit of trouble communicating directly. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed this not so brief video. If you have any questions on use of Google Earth or whatever, let me know. Send me an email. Maybe we can do some more. Thanks a bunch. N2QOJ 73.